And we are live on YouTube, on Facebook. Let's get the Instagram up and running. Oh, does Instagram not want to play today? Let's see. We got that. We got that. Looks like Instagram doesn't want to play with us today. All right, let's get going on TikTok. Oh, here comes Instagram. Why was she thinking about that so hard? Go live. Casting director workshops are not always educational classes. I know that that's what the pay-to-play statements say that they are, and the experience is actually quite different. Good morning. This is the morning report from the Working Actor NYC. Let me know where you're joining me from and what you're working on in your acting career today. So yesterday I had another casting director workshop. It was the second workshop that I did with Ricky Gimelstob from Jonathan Strauss Casting. Jonathan Strauss Casting does the Dick Wolf shows, the Law and Orders, the Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, FBI, CIA, those sorts of shows, the procedurals. And so a great office to try to get to know. I've seen my submission report from my agent, and I know that I've been submitted to the Jonathan Strauss's office. I don't know that I've been submitted to. Ricky specifically deals with Chicago PD, and I don't know that I've been submitted to that particular show. So, but that was the casting director who was available from that office, and so I'm glad that I met her, and hope maybe I'll get an audition for Chicago PD coming up. That would be great, and I will have invested my money wisely. Okay, so let's deal with Ricky first. So Ricky's class was interesting, and she did teach me things. Here's what I want you to know about Jonathan Strauss's office and seeing one casting director from Jonathan Strauss's office, like Ricky Gimelstob, who does Chicago PD. Good morning. This is the morning report from the Working Actor NYC. Hello. Let me know where you are and what you're working on in your acting career. But here's what you need to know about Jonathan Strauss's office. They all work remote. There is no central location. All of the casting gets done from their homes, which is very common, and they communicate with each other via Slack. What that means is that there is way less interaction between the casting agents in an office. So what if you're meeting with Ricky Gimelstob and she's doing Chicago PD, but you really want to get seen for Law and Order, you have to meet with whichever casting director from Jonathan Strauss's office is doing Law and Order. Because it's not as easy as it used to be for them to communicate with each other about actors that they've met individually, which is a bit of a blow. And I don't know how to the only strategy that comes to mind is that if you want to be seen by the casting director of Law and Order, submit to them, but say that you've met with Ricky Gimelstob, you've done class with Ricky Gimelstob. That's something that I could do and would be happy to do. So that casting director now has a reference point of somebody that they know and trust and like, that they can go to. So that was one thing that I learned from Ricky Gimelstob's class. The other thing that I thought was interesting, somebody had asked the very smart question of, because we're not in the room where you would get a redirect, get an adjustment, you would do the scene once. When you used to go into the room, you would go in, do the scene once, they would give you an adjustment, you do the scene again, which is what happens in these class situations because we're live with the casting director. But in situations where we're doing our self tapes at home and we're not getting that redirect live, how do you direct yourself? So somebody asked the question, how do we redirect ourselves when we're working on our self tapes at home, which I thought was a really smart question. And Ricky said uh, there were three things: do less and throw it away for the second take, pick up the pace, and if it's a procedural, find the turn in the scene. Congratulations, Noriko. Um, find the turn in the scene. In procedurals, there's almost always a point at which the character that you're reading starts out as one person, then discovers a piece of information that changes things. So you've got to find the turn in the scene. That's just smart scene study. And the other class that I'm taking is with Kim Misha at the moment. And as she said, the difference between one performance and another is the study of the scene itself. How well do you understand what the function of that scene is and how well can you deliver that function? So that was the big takeaway from Kim Misha's class. The other thing that I will say about Kim Misha's class, because I'm about to do a post about this, which is going to get me in trouble. But the other thing is that I am super grateful that I have invested uh, money in these classes and that I'm getting to know these casting directors, especially Kim Misha. What does pick up the pace mean to you? Great question. It is literally just connecting the dots between the lines more quickly, connecting the dots between your thoughts more quickly. Um, we like to sit in pauses so that we can demonstrate that we're processing the information the information that somebody's given to you. And in procedural, they literally just don't have time. They need you to get from A to B quickly. Um, so whatever, so there are lots of different ways that I do it. It may just be an energy thing. Sometimes it's creating a situation where the information is less um, is less of a surprise to me, or I'm in a heightened emotional state that allows me to get. A b- but I like that. Thank you, Sean. Um, but yeah, sometimes I'm in an energetic state that allows me to get urgency. Yeah, urgency is a great word for it. It's also heightening the stakes can do the same thing, like raising the stakes can help you get that energetic lift that you need in order to just keep moving through the scene. You don't have to rush. The point is not to rush, but it is to make sure that you're eliminating the gaps between the lines so that the scene can flow in a way that the editor is going to love. Um, Ricky's point was that on procedurals, they just have a lot of script to get through in a short period of time. So, hey there, Laura. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. So that was what I got from. So that's what pick up the pace means to me, and that was what was super helpful about Ricky Gimmelsob's class. What was interesting to me about Kim Misha's class, she is a extremely influential casting director here in New York City, and so I was very grateful to be able to spend some time getting to know her. Here's the thing: these companies that put these meetups together, like Actors Connection and One on One, are very keen to impress upon you that this is not pay to play, right? That you cannot think of these as a way to get a casting opportunity with that casting director. That these are educational classes, and And sometimes that's true. Sometimes the casting director wants you to learn something, and so they make sure that there are things that they want to impress upon you that will educate you. That is not always the case. Kim Misha did not have a syllabus that she wanted to teach us. She answered our questions, and she gave us redirects, and and it felt perfunctory. The class felt perfunctory. It wasn't like I have a page full of notes of like, "Oh, that's a really interesting way of looking at that." And none of this is to diss Kim Misha or the class. I was actually very appreciative that it was so direct. It was very clear that Kim Misha was there to meet actors because in order to do her job, she has to know who's available and who's out there so that she can present her clients with a fresh list, so that it's not just the same actors being regurgitated all the time. And I appreciated that. And of course, the actors are there to have their work seen by a casting director. Um, yes, of course, it would be great if we learned something. If we learned something, fantastic. But in the end, it's a go see, and I have paid for. And because she's an influential casting director, I'm happy to pay what I paid for it. But I appreciated the directness of it. And I it so when there was I went to a panel of a bunch of casting directors, and one of them said, "Yeah, you can't sign up for these casting director workshops thinking that you're gonna get a casting opportunity out of it. You've gotta go into it with an educational intent." And I just don't believe that anymore. If I learn something great, fantastic, thrilling, couldn't be happier, but I am there for a casting director to get familiar with me and my work, and casting directors are there to discover, the people that they haven't met yet, discover the talent that they haven't met yet. So, I prefer it when that transactional aspect of it is clear and out in the open. That's just me. Why do I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that? All right, friends. So today, I have an audition for a film that I have questions about. And then tonight, I'm doing my voice gig for the Downtown Dance Factory, which I love doing every year. It's their recitals, and they pay me to come and be the voice from the dark, announcing each of the acts in the recital. It's really fun. So that's my day. Whatever it is that you're working on today, you got this. Keep going. Happy to see you, my friends. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday at 8 a.m. All right. Have a great weekend, friends, and I'll be right back here on Monday at 8 a.m. See you then.